everyone, it's Jessie from b.a.r.e Flower Farm. Today I am making bouquets for my next CSA bouquet, and we are on the third bouquet out of 6, which is every other week. So I thought this would be a good time for me to talk a little bit about how I structured my CSA, since I haven't done that yet. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I am in my 2nd year of cut flower farming. I grown in Neshannock Station, New Jersey in zone 6B. You can follow me on Instagram if you haven't yet. And every day, more or less, I post on my stories what's going on out in the field. So in year 1, my main sales outlet was farmers markets. I purposely chose not to do a CSA because I wasn't sure of, 1, the volume of blooms I would have, and that was a prudent decision because I didn't even have enough blooms for my farmers market. And 2, I wasn't sure when things would come into bloom. So now that I've had a full year under my belt, I feel a lot more comfortable and confident to have a CSA, or as I call it, a flower subscription. Now, that being said, I have a very, very small scale CSA. I only have 7 members. I actually have more people who would want to be in the subscription, but I want to have enough stems to also sell at my florist co-op. And if I do any other flower subscriptions later down in the year, I'll probably be able to do a lot more people because I'll have a lot more in bloom. So if you are in your first year especially, or you're a beginner cut flower farmer, I would advise against doing a CSA, especially if you're going to do something like more than 10 members. It's just, your first year, a lot of it is really about growing experience. So unless if you've grown a lot of flowers before as a hobby and you know how to anticipate when things are coming to bloom and how much volume you're going to have, that's a different story. But if you've never grown anything, I would really advise you to start small, if not taking that first year to learn. The other thing is that sometimes you don't know if you're going to have a crop failure. You don't know if you're going to have like an infestation. Last year, all my snapdragons were basically lost because I had a thrip infestation. That's not something I could have easily predicted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about how I set up my CSA, so the description and all that stuff. I'm going to talk about how I acquired my members. 7 isn't a lot, but obviously I had to find those 7 people somehow. I'm going to talk about logistics for my current setup. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about the pricing and the numbers. So before we get into the details of the CSA, you probably want to know what's going into the bouquets for this week. So we are in mid-May right now. It's been a funky kind of May. It was really, really hot in the beginning. Last night, we actually got frost in certain areas. My tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are toast. I know people who started zinnias out in my zone are also, looking at restarting their zinnias. It's just been kind of weird weather. So that all to say, my ranunculus, which I would have expected right now, have buds, but they haven't actually bloomed, and the heat set them back a little bit. But in the next 10 days, I think it's actually prime ranunculus weather, since I have shade cloth during the day and at night it's cool. So for today, we've got some snapdragons. These were overwintered last year. They were started from seed in like July, planted into the ground in like August, September, overwintered well. We've got some foxglove. These are foxy foxglove, and these are typically biennials, but these flower in year 1. We've got some verbascum, which is not a flower that most people are familiar with, but it's got these beautiful petals and blooms. The problem is the petals are a little bit fragile, so I'll show you how I work with them after. You can see just by me shaking it, some of them are falling off, but they have a great vase life in the sense that the flowers up here will continue to open. We've got some catmint over here that has opened up. And last but not least, we've got the workhorse of this bouquet, which is Sweet William. Sweet William is a great plant or flower for a lot of zones. I think it's hardy down to zone 3. And it's a workhorse, and it often comes into bloom this time of year in between tulips and like ranunculus or whatever else you have coming in the early spring. So these will form the backbone, and then we're going to, just make bouquets. So let's talk about my CSA description. I actually marketed it as a flower subscription because a lot of people around my area still don't know what a CSA is. And in the description online, I do talk about a CSA and this concept of you know, someone who helps support a CSA is helping support the farmer because they are helping pay upfront some of the costs that we would have to bear. And so it helps us spread out our cash flow, or it doesn't help spread out the cash flow, but it helps us get the cash in advance so that we can buy things like seeds or whatever else in advance. And I also say, as a CSA member or flower subscriber, you get the best blooms because you are taking a chance or a risk on us. And we are subjected to Mother Nature. We are subjected to just how the weather is going to be. So there are going to be weeks where I may not have blooms. That actually happened last two weeks ago, where I didn't have anything because my tulips all blew open. And I make it very clear to them that at the end of the day, you know, they get the best, the biggest blooms in exchange for the risk that they take on and for upfronting the cash flow to buy 6 subscriptions in advance. So I write all of that online. I make sure people understand that the word CSA is interchangeable with flower subscription. And I think that the word flower subscription really helps in terms of people understanding what they're getting. Typically with a lot of subscriptions, you are paying upfront, and then you are getting a promised amount of, you know, goods at a certain cadence. So that has worked out really, really well for me. And the way that I structured it was I put it online on Squarespace. And so I will talk a little bit more about the logistics of Squarespace when I get to that section, but that is pretty much that's pretty much it in terms of the description piece. I did also let people know here are the dates in which I will be delivering, so that people know upfront what to expect. And there were some people who I think would have signed up but didn't, because they were like, well, we knew we were going to be out of town. We knew that we wouldn't be able to enjoy the blooms at this date. And that's totally fine because they can always buy a la carte from me. So that is the description piece. Now let's talk about how I acquired these customers. So I would say that the majority of these customers actually found me through Facebook. So I've done a lot of local marketing on Facebook, and that is through 2 methods. One, I use Facebook Marketplace, which I think everyone knows. Facebook Marketplace is great, especially if you're looking to buy and sell used stuff. But Facebook is also great for groups. So when I say groups, these are like, you know, a lot of people are in Cut Flowers 101. A lot of people are in like other like hobby type of groups. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there for moms. So they'll call it, like, you know, my local town is called Bridgewater Moms to Moms group. And those are typically very, very strong groups and great groups for you to do advertising if they allow it. So on every Monday, we are allowed to post for small businesses what we have. And twice I've actually posted on there that I'm a local flower farmer and that I have blooms. And, you know, like, it's not necessarily an advertisement for selling blooms that day, but it's to let people know that, hey, like, there's a local flower farmer near you and I'm available if you need any custom arrangements or if you want to do a flower subscription. So I got quite a few people from that. And then the second thing was I experienced something called Tulip Hell, which I made a video for up here. You can see it there. And I had to sell a lot of quantity of tulips in a short amount of time. And I had to do a sale to push them all out because I couldn't fit them all into my refrigerator. So when I did that sale, every single time I delivered a bouquet, I would mention to someone, hey, if you're interested in having more consistent flowers, I have a flower subscription. Here's the link to it. You can go online and check it out. And through that sale, I actually got 2 people who signed up. So that was really cool that I was actually able to take advantage of something where I really didn't make a ton of money off of those tulips because of how much I had to sell them for. I basically did buy 2, get 1 free, but in exchange, I did get some longer term customers, and these people are basically buying 6 bouquets. So 6 bouquets is a decent amount for me to be able to pre-sell in advance. I would say that the third group of people who I was able to attract for the CSA were just prior customers. So these could be customers who found me through the farmer's market. There was a local newspaper that actually did some press around my flower farm during the winter tulip season. And so they bought Valentine's Day flowers from me. And what I did was I emailed all of them. And I basically said, hey, I have a flower subscription coming. If you're interested, then here is the information and here is how you sign up. And I got, I would say, 4 people from that alone. So that's 4 out of 7. And then the other 3 came from Facebook. So if you don't know how to market, or if you need to figure out how to attract customers, I would definitely try Facebook. I would try the moms groups. I would try even just like the local yard sale groups where you can sell like a lawnmower or sell whatever it is, and just say flower subscription and give like a brief description and see how it goes if you get any bites from that. The third topic I want to talk about is logistics. So for me, I actually find it a lot easier and I prefer delivering. And I know that this is a bit controversial because delivering takes a lot of time. It's obviously more labor intensive than someone coming to pick up. But my circumstances are such that I live in a residential area. I don't have a farm stand. I don't have like a self-serve area. My driveway is very, very long and narrow. So it means that people are coming closer to the house for pickup. I'm right off to the side of the road where there's no like shoulder or walkway. So it's not like people can actually park to pick up a little bit further off. So it means that if people are coming to pick up, I don't have a ton of privacy. So we have like a security system, but I obviously want to be home. I want to make sure I can see who is coming to pick up and when, that kind of stuff, right? So all that to say, you know, from a security perspective and also just from a more convenience perspective where I can time everything if I am delivering, because obviously I know when I'm going to deliver, I would prefer the route of people paying a little bit extra for that delivery fee and me going off to deliver. So all of my CSA members, with except of one, are actually delivery. So I factor in a little bit more money to account for that delivery. And I will say that delivery, I only do it for certain areas. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to deliver if they live too far out. So I make sure that all the customers are within like a certain radius. It usually takes me a full hour to do a round trip delivery for 6 people. One person kind of lives a little bit further out, but they are a really, really great customer. If it weren't for that customer, it would actually cut the delivery distance by about 15 minutes. In fact, I have some people who are like so local, I could probably ride my bike to their house. The second thing I want to talk about is just like how I sold this, right? So I sold all of the CSA subscriptions online, meaning that it was on my website. So I have a product page on my Squarespace and it says the CSA bouquets, and it has for pickup, it has it for deliveries. And so what I like about doing it on Squarespace is, one, I have the record of the sale from a tax perspective. It just makes it a lot easier, especially at year end, for me to reconcile and make sure I accounted for all of the sales. And then I also like it for the fact that I can easily charge tax on there. Oftentimes I think I tend to not want to charge tax because if someone's paying me in cash or whatever, it just becomes a little bit more cumbersome for like the change part of it. So on Squarespace, there is a feature where you can just put in tax automatically. And so anytime someone orders online from me now, they do get charged sales tax in addition to the bouquet. So all that stuff is on the website. I just find that having a website to process payment makes life a lot easier. Obviously, you have to pay those processing fees, usually about like 3 percentage points, but I think it's totally worth that extra money, in the sense that you can get away with less good record keeping because you can just go into one area, export it during tax season, and then you'll know how much you sold, how much taxes you owe, and all that good stuff. So that's the website piece. From a communication standpoint, I send an email out to all of my customers the day before, telling them the specific time frame I'm going to deliver. Usually I give them a window. So for tomorrow, I said I'm going to deliver between 11:30 and 2 p.m. In the past, I've delivered a little bit later. Last time I got caught during the end of school day, and I was stuck behind traffic for so long. So this week I was like, I'm going to do it a little bit earlier. And I also use that email as a means to communicate with them if I have any flowers where I want to make sure they know what they're getting. So good example is foxglove over here. Foxglove is poisonous when ingested. I learned the other day that it's poisonous because the main component in foxglove is actually used as a heart drug for like heart rhythm issues. And in unknown doses, it can actually stop the heart. So what that means is that if you have like really young children, or if you have pets that are really curious, you probably don't want to have foxglove in your bouquet. So I also use email as a means to email people to say, hey, I have foxglove in bloom. It's beautiful, but it's toxic. Are you comfortable receiving it? And if you have young kids or curious pets, I would err on the side of caution and just let me know, and I won't include them, and I'll include something else. So that is also, I think, a really effective way to make sure your customers know what they're getting as a disclaimer, and also to communicate with your customer. And if customers I find are not very receptive via email, I don't hear back from them, then I'll text them. And that's the other good thing about having payment done online, is that typically their email is definitely given, and you can even ask for a phone number in case if you need to reach them. Of course, you can also do that all manually, but everything is then stored in like different text messages and stuff. And this way I go to my Squarespace app, I open it, and all the information is there within a few clicks and scrolls. So it doesn't have to be Squarespace. It could be any kind of website platform. The point is that I'm using technology to house a lot of this information for the CSA. All right, so now let's talk about pricing. So the way that I price the CSA is I price it based off of, one, how many bouquets am I planning on offering? So it's 6 in this case. And then the second thing is, how much am I going to charge per bouquet if I were to sell it at a la carte, right? So each bouquet is worth $20. And so for delivery, I add a $5 delivery fee every single time I deliver, even if it's a la carte, right? So if I deliver 3 people in the same area, then for $5 addition per bouquet, I'm getting $15 for that delivery. So in this case, each of the 6 bouquets will now cost $25 each for 6 bouquets for that CSA. Now, what I did was, because this is my first CSA and I do plan on having them take a survey, give me feedback and all that stuff, I discounted it. And these are also people who are neighbors. These are people who have bought from me before. So some of them are, I would even call them friends, right? So I put a little bit of a discount, and that discount basically takes that delivered bouquet down to about $22. And for the pickup, that one pickup customer, her bouquets were at $20. That discount took her down to $17.50. So definitely a good value, especially for that person who's getting pickup. But even for the people who are getting delivery, I mean, you're getting a $21 or $20 bouquet for basically $22 including delivery. So a lot of people say, well, people understand like needing flexibility with the CSA and all that stuff. Like I said, people here don't necessarily all participate in CSAs. They may not understand the concept of it. So I find that just having that discount, saying upfront you're getting a discount, in exchange I'm going to ask you for your feedback, I'm going to ask you for some flexibility. It gives me a little bit more peace of mind to be able to ask for that kind of favor, because I know that they're getting something in return, and it's already spelled out to them that is expected of them in terms of that flexibility and feedback. So like I said earlier, 2 weeks ago, I already had to redeem that favor to ask them to say, hey, I don't have enough flowers this week, but we'll make up that bouquet for you at the end of the season. So we'll tack on another 2 more weeks. And obviously everyone was very understanding of that. And then at the end of the season, I will actually send out a survey. Now, I know for some people, they're going to say, wow, like you are really undercharging your CSA members for all of this, especially with delivery. And I'm going to say that, look, you do whatever works for you. You do whatever helps you sleep at night. This helps me sleep at night. I felt like it was win-win. I got an injection of cash flow in mid-April, early May. It helped me achieve what I needed to achieve. And then I feel like that people are also getting a really good deal for their flowers. So yeah, overall, I feel like that pricing strategy worked really well for me, and people right now are pretty happy with what they're receiving, the communication that they're getting, and just the general progress of a flower subscription. So a lot of these people have never done a flower subscription before, or a CSA, and I know that they're telling friends and family because I'm getting inquiries about it. So I think that's basically it in terms of the logistics piece. and the CSA piece as a whole. There are so many different ways to structure a CSA. There are plenty of people who have pickup locations at like a local cafe. They have pickup at their house. They do delivery. They might charge a little bit more, right? There's a million ways to skin the cat. So this isn't the only way. It's the way that works out well for me right now. I think for my next CSA subscription, it's going to look a little bit different, right? It's going to evolve, but you all have to start from somewhere. And I would say that I would rather start from somewhere where I feel like it's manageable and it is on my terms. So the ability for me to feel like it is on my terms, within my control to deliver, is one of them, and keeping it small is another. So I'm going to put this on a time lapse so you can see me make the rest of the bouquets. Let me show you. Here's one that I just made before. There's another one that I made, but it's not yet wrapped. It doesn't have any foxglove. So yeah, these are turning out to be really, really pretty. But yeah, let me put this on a time lapse so you can see the end result. All right, so I just made 6 bouquets. Let me show you what they look like. I have to harvest a little bit more for the 7th. So here they are, lots of spikes from the catmint, the verbascum, the snapdragons, as well as some of the foxglove. So this is like a foxglove heavy one. This one has both no, this one is just a foxglove free one. Let's see, another foxglove heavy one. Yeah, so yeah, this is what they look like. I mean, let me take this out and show you. Like the colors. And let me show you another palette. This one's got a little bit just more like pink, white, and purple. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I will be finishing up these bouquets. They'll be delivered tomorrow, and then I'll have another bouquet in 2 more weeks. So the first 2 bouquets that I delivered were actually all tulip straight stems, $20 worth. I even delivered an extra bouquet during my tulip hell, where I had so many tulips that I didn't know what to do with them. So my CSA customers got an extra one. And that's kind of the fun part about being a CSA customer is, you know, if I have extra stuff, like for example, I'm growing a ton of garlic. I'm growing like, I think there's like over 200 field. When I have garlic scapes, even though you can make pesto and all that stuff out of it, I'm going to share some with my CSA members, right? So I think that's kind of just the point of a community supported agriculture structure, is that you reap the rewards when the farmer has an abundance. And I kind of want to make sure that people understand the value in supporting a CSA, whether it's for me or for another farmer. Obviously, a CSA really helps the small scale farmer, and I want to make sure people have a good experience. So let me know if you have any questions below. If you've seen any great CSA structures, let me also know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.